In a world full of magic and the unknown, ancient runes hold endless secrets. Arthur, a young mage scholar, inherited his family's love for runes, while Lillian, a brave warrior, vowed to protect the dark forces behind this world. Now, their destinies are intertwined, and they embark on an adventure to uncover the veil of ancient relics and stop the spread of evil. In this library, full of ancient knowledge, Arthur discovered a rune tablet shining with mysterious light, waiting to be unlocked. He lowered his head and observed the runes carefully. Every detail contained unknown power. They arrived at the core of the ruins. Arthur's heartbeat quickened, and every step foreshadowed an unknown test. Lillian followed closely behind him, vigilantly, with the long sword in her hand, ready to meet any sudden threat at any time. When he touched those ancient runes, the powerful energy began to awaken, as if the entire ruins were responding to his call. They entered the heart of the castle, a place that had once been full of life and glory, but now only silence and oblivion, with every slab of stone in the ruins telling of past glory and impending danger. Deep within the ruins, they found the altar. The runes emitted a warm glow, and magical energy rippled in the air. Arthur's fingers gently touched the runes on the altar, and a violent, magical power burst out. The entire underground ruins seemed to be responding to this call. Every wave of magic changes the structure of the ruins. A dim light begins to flicker in the cracks between the walls and the floor. Lillian remains alert, holding her sword tightly, as the power of darkness seems to be approaching. The out-of-control magic brings devastating shockwave. The power of the altar has exceeded its limit, and the underground ruins begin to collapse. With the awakening of the power of runes, the resurrection of the Dark Empire also quietly began. Darkness was reborn, and the energy released by the altar caused the Shadow King to return from the abyss. The powerful dark energy spread rapidly, covering the entire battlefield. The Shadow King is resurrected, and his every move exudes endless threats and dark magic. The Shadow King summoned his dark army, and mechanical war machines and dark creatures began to gather under his command. The dark power of the Shadow King began to spread, and the entire battlefield fell into a depressing shadow. The ground began to crack under the erosion of dark magic. Arthur and Lillian held on to the last line of defense, their weapons gleaming under the brilliance of magic, and their firm determination became their only strength. Get ready to face the challenge of fate. The battle broke out, and the collision of magic and swords was deafening. Every ray of light, every sword shadow was the final counterattack against the dark forces. The battlefield was filled with the brilliance of magic and the oppression of darkness, and fate was decided at this moment. Arthur released the strongest magic, while Lillian wielded her sword to fight against the dark power. The magic and sword skills complemented each other and repelled the dark creatures. However, the Shadow King released a huge dark energy, forcing them to exhaustion. The two remained strong and withstood the resistance of the dark power. In the end, Arthur used the last magic, but the price was his life. He used the last magic to seal the power of darkness. Lillian stood on the battlefield, feeling the power of Arthur's sacrifice and victory. She knew that the world would always remember their heroic deeds. She held the rune tablet tightly, inherited Arthur's will, and continued to protect this land.